So we were talking earlier about the inventory, and you were saying how it's down. There's not a lot out there.
Right now, it's lower than COVID.
Yeah.
Mid 70s, it fluctuates every minute, but 75, 76 active listings, residential in Macon County right now.
Wow.
So not a lot.
Tom Brinkoetter, welcome to the table. Thank you for taking the time to come talk with us a little bit about Brinkoetter Realty and what's going on in the real estate market in Decatur, my old stomping grounds, which I do miss being over there. But no, I know Brinkoetter's been around for a lot of years, and certainly Peerless and Brinkoetter, we've teamed up over the years. We've done a lot of work with you guys, and you guys have been very kind to us. And,
even with your dad.
Yeah, my dad too, yeah. And I purchased a few homes from you guys over the years. And so tell us a little bit about Brinkoetter and how your dad started.
My dad did start it.
Yep.
He started it in 1965, so this is our 60th year in business.
Wow.
I think it's in June it'll be 60 years. So
awesome.
We're pretty happy about that and doing a little bit of celebrating with it. Not a whole lot, but we want to keep it going. My son's in the business too, so we might get to 3 generations.
I love it. So over the years, how has the real estate market or business changed for you guys? And I know that's a lot of years, or even in the last 20 years.
Well, you're dating me, but I was born in 1965, the year the company was formed.
Okay.
So I don't really remember those days. But it's changed so much over the years. I mean, it used to be when I first got in the business, I graduated college in '83 and went back and worked for a very short time at the company before I went down to Naples, Florida. But they had what was called sub-agency, where everybody represented the seller. So if I listed the house, I represented the seller as a listing agent, but anybody that showed the house as a buyer, as a buyer's agent, did not actually represent that buyer. They represented the seller as a sub-agent of the listing agent.
Interesting.
That went out the window.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say, I never heard about that. That must have been many years ago.
It was interesting. So it was like a buyer's agent would go and to the seller's home and present the offer themselves. So you'd have the listing agent and the buyer's agent, and you'd sit in the kitchen or the dining room or wherever and present the contract directly to the seller.
Oh, I'll be damned.
And the buyer's agent actually worked as a sub-agent of the listing agent. And then buyer's agency came in. So buyer's agency is where you have, the fiduciary duty to the buyer. You represent the buyer. You're the designated agent for that buyer, and the listing agent is the designated agent for that seller.
Okay.
So take my company for an example. I could be the designated agent for the seller, and the buyer and another agent in my company could be the designated agent for the buyer, and they're not dual agents.
Gotcha.
They have duties to each of their clients. If I represent both, then I'm a dual agent. That's still allowed here in Illinois.
And does that
there's
happen?
There's some specific rules to it.
Does that happen much?
Yeah, it does. It happens a fair amount. You gotta know what you're doing, and you really can't. When you become a dual agent, you can't really give a lot of advice and opinion.
Yep.
So if a buyer's asked, what should I pay for this? And you're the dual agent. You represent the seller and the buyer. You can't really say this is what you should pay for.
Right.
You can give them comparables and let them make their own decision.
Gotcha.
But you can't guide them, and you got to keep everything confidential on both sides. So you got to, it's
Pretty
not for the
line.
brand new agent.
Sure.
Experienced agents do it, and it's a common thing in Illinois.
Are younger people still getting into the real estate business? Yeah.
I think right now quicker than ever.
Okay.
Is that right? Why? What would you attribute that to?
Well, I think, be honest with you, I don't think everybody feels they have to go to college anymore. I've seen an uptick in people going into the trades.
Absolutely.
It used to be, when we were younger, college, and I don't think that drum's getting beat as much as it used to. And, it's fairly... I don't want to say it's easy, but it's fairly not real difficult to get into the business. You have to pass a test. You got to take 75-hour course. You have to pass a test that has state and federal on it. And then you have to be sponsored by a sponsoring broker, which is like what I am at Brinkoetter. But we've developed at our company an 8-week training program. And we have a policy that if you're a newly licensed agent, you must go through our 8-week training program before we turn you loose.
Gotcha.
We've ran 6, 7 people through there in the last year and a half.
Oh, nice.
Is that right?
Yeah.
How many agents do you have?
60 plus, about 63 right now.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that a good number for you guys?
Yeah, it's a good number. We're always looking for good people.
Yeah.
Real estate's it's an independent contractor type field. They're not employees.
Yeah.
And it is what you put into it. So, more people. Some people are more ambitious than others.
Oh, yeah.
Some people just want to get in and do 2 or 3 houses a year, and other people want to make it a career and go guns at it.
Sure.
Take a Tony Perino, for example, if you've seen Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Tony runs the key team in our office, got in the business about 6 years ago. He's the number 1 agent in Decatur. Right
Is he really?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I did not know that.
Yeah.
So he's a hustler. Is
He's
Terry Booker
he's
still
very
working
good.
with you?
She is. She's not retired. Clear that up. But she's slowing down a little bit.
How about Joe Doolin?
Joe Doolin's still with us,
Yeah.
and Stacy Doolin, his daughter-in-law.
Oh, okay. Yep,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, they've got a team. The Doolins have a team. Booker's still got her team.
Yep.
And Tony's got a team.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah.
So we were talking earlier about the inventory, and you were saying how it's down. There's not a lot out there.
Right now, it's lower than COVID.
Yeah.
Mid 70s. It fluctuates every minute, but 75, 76 active listings, residential in Macon County right now.
Wow.
So not a lot, but stuff's still selling. I mean, people list their home; it just sells real quick.
Yeah. What was the peak of inventory? Would you say? Number
You mean
of
high or
yeah,
low?
the high number.
Well, see, our board of realtors, we belong to an association of realtors, and it used to be just Decatur Association back in the day, and that covered Macon and the surrounding counties. There would be 400 to 600 listings.
Oh, wow.
Right now in Macon County, if you want to go back to that time period, I'm not sure it's ever going to be normal again.
Mm-hmm.
There should be 200 to 300 listings on the market.
Gotcha.
Everything's selling quick.
Yeah.
If you're at all thinking about selling a house, sell it now.
Mm-hmm.
There's no inventory. There's no competition.
Sure.
Yeah.
We're getting multiple offers. We're getting escalation clauses.
That is nice.
Stuff selling over list.
How about residential development? Is there anything going on over there?
Very little.
Or very little?
Almost none.
Okay. Multifamily, anything with multifamily?
No.
No.
We have a shortage of multifamily in Macon County, and there's one little project going up on the corner of Harryland and Baltimore. That's Zach Luca with KLH Homes. He's building some brand new townhouse apartments, which is very much needed, but I would say we're 600 to 650 units short.
Really?
Wow. There hasn't been anything new built in decades. And it's just it's a cost to build.
Yeah.
It's, you have to get so much rent to make that cash flow, right?
Right.
So the cost to build that versus what you can get in rent doesn't match up a lot. It's why you don't see many spec homes built.
Yeah.
Is because the cost to build that spec home could be 50% more than I could sell you an existing home with the same utility.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah. So when I think about Brinkoetter and I think about you, you're always out in the community a lot, and your company is, and you guys do a lot for the community, which I think is awesome. Tell us a little bit about maybe what you guys are doing this year.
We calculated it once, Brad, that with all of our agents and everything that the company does, we're involved in over 100 charities in Macon County.
That's awesome.
We are very, very active with the 217 Wiffle Ball Classic.
Okay.
And that is a little backyard wiffle ball tournament.
So tell us about that.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Have you ever been to it?
No. I've
So
seen it online, but I've never
It's
been
in the backyard. Jeff Owens and his nephew, EP, actually started that.
Okay.
It was Ethan's idea, and they took the ball and ran with it. I think it's 10 years old now.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, but I think it's 10 years old, and it's in the backyard of Jeff's sister's home over off of Lost Bridge in Llewellyn. And it is so cool. They got scoreboards. They got vendors. It's unbelievable.
So it stays like that all year.
That field is up right now in her backyard.
Is that right?
That's
it
so
stays
cool.
up.
Yeah.
That's
They
cool.
they
How
don't
about
they
that?
don't tear it down.
Yeah.
I mean it's They got home run things. If you hit the home run, you know, so much goes to Alzheimer's. All the money goes to Alzheimer's.
Oh, okay.
And I believe they raise over $100,000 a year.
That is
at
unbelievable.
that wiffle ball tournament, and I think it's from a Tuesday to a Sunday. And it's fantastic.
Like, do they have lights for night games?
Yeah,
and
they
stuff?
do. They
Oh,
bring
is
in
that right? And
they
it's
bring
in
in
somebody's
temporary
backyard.
lights.
Is
They
that
got the
right?
whole radio announcer from the back of the home plate. You know, the little press box back there.
That's
And
cool.
I think they stream it live on Facebook, so you can watch games. They have little kid divisions.
Oh, that is awesome.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I told them, don't ever move it out of this backyard.
Yeah, the uniqueness of the setting you just described, you could never
They
replicate
have people
that.
from all over the country come play in this wiffle ball.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Barstool Sports picks it up.
Oh, that's cool.
They got parking. We went to the city 2 years ago and asked the city to close down Lost Bridge Road from Baltimore all the way around.
Oh, really?
And they've allowed that, so it's made it just a great atmosphere.
Wow.
It's cool.
I had no idea. I've seen it on. Yeah, that's neat. What else are you doing for anything else?
Well,
in
we
the
do.
community?
We're,
Casa, you
this
said?
year we're title sponsor of the Casa Playhouse raffle.
Nice.
Ryan Campbell, my marketing director, is on the board at Casa, and it kind of ties in with what we do. And I personally think that Casa is one of the most deserving organizations there is because they're helping the young children get through the court system.
Yeah.
But we're going to juice that up a little bit. We're making it its own little event. It's been tied to another event for the last couple of years. We're going to move it to the fall. We're getting a big shed, and we're going to do one shed and kind of dress it up as like a backyard. You can make it a she shed or a he shed, or
cool.
instead of the themed playhouses this year.
Yep.
So it's a little more functional for whoever wins that, and we're gonna raffle tickets off for that.
That's pretty cool. How are things in Decatur overall?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I love Decatur.
Yeah.
You know, I left for 20 years.
Yeah. Where did you go?
Well, so I went to college out of high school. I went to Arizona State University, and I was out there till 1988, and I came back home for a little bit.
Are you an ASU football fan? You had a pretty good year last
Yeah,
year.
they had a really good year.
Really
Well,
good year.
see, I went to ASU because I thought I was a baseball player.
Oh, really? Did
that
you try
right?
out?
Oh, I got humbled really quick.
That's a
I
big
did.
time
I
ball.
tried to walk on.
Yeah, did you?
Is that right?
Well, we knew we weren't going to make it, but we just wanted to say
Give
we
it a
did.
shot.
Try it.
What position did you play?
I was a second baseman.
I love it.
So I ended up playing like Phoenix Men's League out there, and then came home for a little bit and wasn't suited to sell real estate at that time. And I wanted to be an appraiser, but I couldn't get a job in Decatur because my dad owned a real estate sales company.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Kind of a conflict of interest.
Yeah, sure.
So I ended up going down to Naples, Florida, and I spent 15 years in Naples and ended up starting a fairly large appraisal company down there. And,
Yep.
we
you
were,
miss
We were
Naples?
doing the big stuff. That was fantasy land.
Were you doing the big,
Big residential?
30,
Commercial.
40, $50 million homes back in the 90s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can remember appraising indirect access lots on Marco Island for $70,000 to $90,000, and now they're $2 million.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Man.
I should have bought 10 of them.
Yeah, you should have. Yeah,
Was that
for
the
sure.
late 80s you said when you
Yeah.
were there?
That was
90s?
I got there in '88, and I left there in 2000.
Gotcha.
So that was the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was boomtown. It's crazy.
Yeah.
60% of all the real estate transactions down there were cash.
Wow.
But it was a good experience for me. I loved appraising. I ended up having a fairly large firm, and that's how kind of our floor plans got started up
Yeah,
here.
talk a little bit about that because
Yeah,
I know
I
that
know
was
you
a
were
big thing.
telling us a little bit about it before we got on
when
air.
you
It
do an
sounds awesome.
appraisal, when you do an appraisal, you have to draw a sketch of the home and put it in the appraisal and calculate the square footage. It doesn't have to be hugely detailed. You got to name the rooms, but you don't have to put the walls or anything in it. And one day I got a call from a realtor down in Old Naples, and she asked me if I could draw a complete floor plan of the home. This was back in, probably 95, 96. And I said, yeah, I think I can do that. So I ended up starting a little side business down in Naples, drawing these floor plans where we draw the interior walls and the door swings and the appliance locations and all the bathrooms, and we'd hand them to them on a piece of paper. So, we were charging 6 cents a square foot for that. And if you calculate that out on a big house, that's not bad money.
Not bad.
So when my sister Carla called me and asked me to come home and help with the real estate company, and I didn't really want to come home. My wife wanted to come home.
Is she from Decatur?
No, she's from Naples.
Oh, she is.
Yeah, she wanted to change the seasons.
Ah.
So she said, let's go.
Okay.
And I had a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and we packed up and came up here, and we looked at the business and got with my dad and got with Carla, and we said, hey, let's do this. We need to grow the business. So I ended up taking that floor plan idea, and we created another company called Homesite, and we literally wrote the code and did all the programming ourselves. I had a guy named Jason Ferguson helping me, and we developed this website called Homesite, where we would take these floor plans that I used to give to people on paper, and we put them online in a digital format. This is in 2001.
Okay. Yep.
And then we built a program to embed the pictures into the floor plan, and we created what's called the interactive floor plan. I think we're probably one of the first people to ever do that.
Yeah.
But that really changed our business because it drove traffic to the website.
Sure.
And, that's just when the web was getting started.
Right.
Right.
Nobody was really doing anything on the web.
No.
So we started that. The company had 17% market share, and I'll never forget my dad. I told him we're going to get 30% market share, and he said, you'll never do it. And we did it, and then we actually got it up to 50 at one point.
That's terrific.
So,
Wow.
that system is still in place today, 24 years later.
Man.
I'm actually rebuilding it right now with
Okay.
my new web provider. So it lasted a good 23, 24 years.
Are you guys still working outside your agency? Because
No.
before you were multi-state,
Well, I
right?
used to. Homesite there for 5 or 6 years. I was doing stuff here in Springfield. I did all the stuff at Remax Professionals with
I
Melissa.
think that's, you introduced us, I believe.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and did the Remax in Peoria. I did Remax in Champaign, and we were even out in Colorado Springs and doing them in Naples. But we were going guns with that thing.
Yeah.
And then I had the opportunity to buy the real estate company from Carla in 2018, and I kind of sold off all those markets, and we just focus on Brinkoetter now.
Okay, gotcha. Is Carla, is she totally retired?
She's in Florida.
In Florida, good. Good for her.
Yep, totally
Enjoying
retired.
life, huh?
So I'm curious what the what's the floor plan business called?
Homesite.
Homesite.
HOMESIGHT.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So when you do that, when you walk into a home to measure it, do you have a special software that you do that with? What's the process look like?
Well, one of the best services that we do for our agents is we calculate the square footage. And square footage is calculated from exterior wall to exterior wall. So when you're using one of these cameras that do it, they're doing it from the inside.
Right.
You don't really get the accurate square footage of the home. We use lasers, little Leica disto lasers, and we measure from outside corner to outside corner. We literally draw the house by hand while we're there.
Okay.
And then we put it on an appraisal sketching program. Still
Gotcha.
using the same appraisal program I used back in the day. And it's had different iterations, but we do that, and we've developed ways to do it where you can be really efficient. I can probably go into a 4,000 square foot house and have it all done in a half hour.
Man, that's pretty impressive.
By hand, and then you got to
That's
go put it on a
impressive.
computer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Very
man,
interesting.
we've done. I probably got 70, 80,000 floor plans in my database from all the markets that we were in.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So you talked about your kids. You have 2 kids.
2 kids.
And you have a son and daughter, or 2 sons?
No, I have a son and a daughter.
Okay.
Alyssa and Joey.
Is your daughter involved in the business at all?
Everybody is.
Oh yeah. Well, tell us about that. So I have my son's in the business as well. So how's it going?
It's
and
awesome.
what are they doing?
It's true family business. So Homesite only does work for Brinkoetter now. So we control that service.
Wow.
My wife works with my daughter, and my wife shoots all of our HDR photography,
Okay.
and Alyssa draws all the floor plans now. So they ride together. They do 5-6 houses a day.
That's cool.
And then they also do the Matterports. Matterport's the 3D camera.
Yeah.
That you can do a complete walkthrough in the house. And then we have another lady named Amy that comes in and flies the drone.
Okay.
So all of that stuff's in-house. And then my son is actually a salesperson.
Okay. Excellent.
So we got everybody working there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But that in-house, being able to control that service is the key, because we turn these things around in 24 hours.
Yeah. I like it.
Well, what are the challenges of having son and daughter in the family business?
It's okay because they're not even close to each other. And Alyssa's never in the office because she's out in the field doing all the field work.
Yeah.
So they set the appointments. They support our agents, her and Patty, and they do a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's terrific.
Yeah, it's cool. It's just every family business is different, right? and you go through, second generation, third generation, and everybody's stories sound different. And I'm always fascinated by that.
Yeah. I don't put any pressure on them to take it over. It's there if they want it. And if not, I have no intentions of slowing down anytime soon. So we're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all my time with you normally spent on a golf course. Do you have any golf trips coming up?
Couple.
A couple.
Pretty good one in August.
Where are you guys going?
Well, my buddy Brett Jerger has got us going to Ireland. This
Nice.
year. So
How many guys you got going?
And then we got a trip that they got us involved with the Illini.
Okay.
We go up to the Olympia Fields every year and
Oh.
play in that fundraiser
for
that
Steve
they have.
Stricker, for the Stricker outing?
Well, it's the one that Mike Small puts on to raise money for the team.
Oh yeah.
And they auction off these trips, and they got one going down to Texas. So we're gonna go do that with Brad Underwood.
Oh, fun. Oh, that'll be a lot of fun.
That
Underwood.
sounds fun.
Yeah, that's terrific.
Cool.
Well, good deal. So what's the future look like at Brinkoetter then? I mean,
I think it's bright.
Pretty bright.
This market's changed. Our business has changed. The way we do business has changed. There's been this antitrust lawsuit down in Kansas City, and the National Association of Realtors didn't win it. So part of the settlement was we had to change the way we do business.
Okay. It's across the country.
It's nationwide.
Nationwide, yeah.
So it's members of NAR, National Association of Realtors. If you're a member of the National Association of Realtors, in order to be covered by the settlement, you have to adopt these new practices.
I got you.
And part of that is realtors can't show homes to buyers unless you have a written buyer's brokerage agreement. And the state of Illinois, as of January 1st, adopted that as law.
Okay.
So it is law now that I can't show you a house, for example, unless we have a written buyer's brokerage agreement.
Gotcha.
Which I like because it gives the agent the opportunity to sit down with that buyer before they start looking and explain everything they're going to do, give them their value proposition, where their value comes from. And it also makes that buyer a little more loyal to that agent.
Sure.
These agents work hard. And, it used to be in the past, hey, you just show them 15, 20 houses. You don't have any kind of written agreement, and they see a sign, call the person on the sign, and you're kind of out.
And you're out, right?
So it kind of explains the process. And the good realtors will sit down with their clients and explain it. And I think it's more transparent.
So now does that lock you in? So let's just say I'm working with you. I sign that agreement.
That agreement can be exclusive
Okay.
or non-exclusive.
Okay.
So, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to do all of this for you, Brad. I'm going to do this,
Sure.
and this.
Makes
I would
sense.
like to have an exclusive agreement.
Makes sense.
But if that is not the right situation, we can do them non-exclusive.
Gotcha.
So I know obviously you said you like this. What's if you had to put a percentage on it across the industry? What's your sense about how many folks like this new way versus where we were?
I think
before
when it first
January
came out,
1st?
nobody liked it.
Okay.
But I don't think anybody understood it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we used to have in our industry was called co-brokerage. Okay. So I would go in, or the listing agent would go in and list your home for X amount. And then in the MLS system, which is where we put all of our listings, it would say a number that the buyer's broker would make a percentage of commission if they sold that house. It was right in the MLS. Part of the settlement is that can no longer be there.
Gotcha.
So you can't co-broke like that anymore. You can't put that fee out there. The sellers can still pay the buyer's brokerage commission, okay, but it cannot be listed anywhere associated with the MLS. So, we've had to, it's a paradigm shift. We've had to change the way we do our listing agreements. I had to write new listing agreements, had to write buyer's brokerage agreements.
Yeah.
We had to change MLS rules. I sit on the board of the Central Illinois Board of Realtors. We had to change the rules for all of that. But all in all, I think it's a more transparent process. The Department of Justice is involved, and they want to see the seller paying the seller's agent and the buyer paying the buyer's agent. And that all sounds great, but there's a lot of times buyers don't have the money to pay their broker. Correct. So we've changed the contract a little bit, and you can negotiate that buyer's brokerage compensation within the purchase agreement.
Okay.
So it's not a co-broke between me, the listing broker, and you, the selling broker. It's more of the seller maybe providing a concession to the buyer,
Gotcha.
so the buyer can pay his broker.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep. Total. It does actually.
There's a lot to it, and that's a very, very...
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else is going on at Brinkoetter? Is anything else that we don't know about or we haven't asked you?
You know what? We've got a lot of young people in the business, Brad.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about it.
Awesome.
We just brought a new young agent over last week. Her name's Isabella Carver. She's going to be awesome. We got Austin Deaton.
Austin Deaton,
who's came over in the last year or two. And it's just...
I think I know it as
I'm encouraged by the work ethic that I'm seeing out of the young people that have come over to work for us, because you kind of lose faith there a little bit.
Sure.
You know, people didn't want to work, and COVID kind of did all of that. And we just have an outstanding group of young agents that are 25 to 35 years old, and I'm excited to help them build their careers, because our clients. My clients, as the owner of Brinkoetter Realtors, are my agents.
Sure.
You know, we do everything we do to help make our agents successful.
Sure.
And when our agents are successful, the whole company's successful. So, you know, our branding, everything, you know, that's kind of geared to helping those agents.
Oh, that's awesome.
You mentioned earlier I think you said 8-week in-house training program.
8 weeks. And it's taught by a girl named Amy Dial. You get a binder, you get homework. She's going to go through every single form with you, every contract, every listing agreement. And you're going to know more than some agents that have been in the business for 25 years.
How about that? Do you, what else do you do to help bring those agents along? I think it's awesome, by the way, what you just shared, that you're encouraged by the work ethic, because we still hear it every day, and we see it sometimes where it's not so good. We happen to feel really fortunate with the team we've built around here that folks are really delivering. But what are you doing outside of that training? Do you pair new agents, young agents up with folks who've been in the industry for a long time to mentor them? What kinds of things do you do to help develop them?
One of the best things about our office is we truly are a family.
Yeah.
And if Terry Booker is walking down the hallway and Austin has a question, Terry will stop and answer that question.
Oh, that is true.
Any one of our agents, Kevin Fritchie, probably one of the most professional people I know.
He's a great guy.
Will help any agent in there. We really don't compete inside the office with each other. We have a golden rule. And that golden rule is if you get a call from a new client or you're on floor and you take a phone call, the first question you ask is, are you or have you ever worked with a Brinkoetter agent? And if they say yes, you ask them who, and you forward it to that person.
That's awesome.
That is.
And that's the golden rule. And you know, I'll be honest with you, there's times where, I have worked with this person, but I would like a different agent.
Sure.
So then we have the agent that took that call actually speak with the other agent themselves. And work that out.
That's great.
So we try to do, because I've been around the country in this business, and I've seen people in this cubicle calling the same people in this cubicle, and we really try to avoid that. And it's worked out great.
Yeah.
And then I do I have a young agent meeting once a month where we meet on the first Tuesday of the month, and I let them ask me questions. What have you ran across? You know, things that I can help you with. I have a totally open door policy, and everybody knows that if they call me on my cell phone, I'm going to answer it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I think that whole making yourself available, and not just making yourself available, but having an opportunity once a month or whatever the schedule looks like to say, hey, this is our time to sit down and ask questions.
I'm a glorified problem solver.
We know what that feels like. Yes, we do. Yeah. Well, we always ask. First of all, thank you for your time. But
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we always like to ask the question, and that is, what age should we go back? Tommy's just shy of 60, so
so go back to 30.
What advice would you give your 30-year-old self if you could go back and give yourself some advice on what you've learned over the years?
My 30-year-old self.
Your 30-year-old self.
Oh man!
I mean, obviously, I mean, you've been in appraisal. You've been in appraisal. It doesn't even have to be real estate related, but what would you have told yourself?
I will tell you, I was worried when let's go back a little farther than that because it'll be easier for me.
Okay.
I was worried when I left Decatur that I was passing up a huge opportunity because my father did have a big business.
Yep.
But the best thing I ever did was leave Decatur.
Awesome.
The second best thing I ever did was come back.
Yeah.
Because I learned a lot. I didn't have anything handed to me. I earned it myself. You know, we built that appraisal company down there into the biggest appraisal company in Collier County.
Sure.
We were doing 400 appraisals a month.
Wow.
But it taught me it taught me how to work hard and how to run a business without somebody handing me that business.
Sure. Yep.
So I would say, don't worry about it. Go do what you do it on your own, and then come back. And I see a lot of people that come back to Decatur. That's probably the single best decision I ever made, was come back to Decatur. Not because it's just Decatur, it's because of the people. And my wife has unbelievable relationships and friends here, and everybody kind of looks out for each other, and it's a great place to be.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, great to have you on.
Yeah. Thank you for your
was fun.
time. And without a doubt.
It's fun.
Yep.
Cool.